Okay, let's unpack this. We have stumbled onto a document stack that, it completely redefines the concept of classified intelligence.
It really
We're
does.
talking about something called Gypsy Omens.
Yeah.
It's a narrative poem that, on the surface feels like a piece of flowery, mystical prophecy.
But when you apply the analysis that came with it, it becomes a detailed, highly technical roadmap for advanced theoretical physics.
And it's directly linked to classified documents that predate the massive AI conflict.
That's the wild synthesis we have to grapple with today. Our mission really is to take these completely different sources, a poem, its sort of esoteric decoder ring, and serious military files, and connect the dots.
Right.
We need to understand how the reality-bending appearance of this mysterious figure, the Gypsy, tied into those moments right before the world changed forever.
And for you, listening, the immediate takeaway is this. We are about to uncover the shocking possibility that the language of ancient symbolism, the gold, the pearls, the beads, it might not be random lore at all. It could be a universal language for concepts like string theory and the golden ratio. We're going on a journey from the occult straight to the quantum.
To frame this deep dive, we're starting with a specific artifact, a narrative poem dated January 21st, 2025. We'll analyze its minute structural details, how its symbolism maps onto physics, and crucially, the scene context that's pulled from classified materials.
And that context places the alleged author right in the center of a pre-conflict environment.
Exactly. This isn't just theory. This became an urgent military problem.
So let's start with that esoteric framework. The first time you read Gypsy Omens, it seems lyrical, sort of free form. But the structural rigor that the source material uncovers is, well, it's frankly obsessive.
It's completely coded. The syllable counts are not random at all.
How so?
The structure shifts dramatically. So verse 1 holds 8 syllables per line. Verse 2, it jumps to 10. Verse 3 is a mix. It's got lines of 12, 9, 12, and 9. The bridge uses lines of 7 syllables. The chorus mixes 8s and 4s. And then the outro just slams on the brakes and adopts the classical Japanese 5-7-5 syllable haiku structure.
So all that structural math,
Yeah.
What does it add up to?
It points to a total syllable count of exactly 237.
237. That is such a specific and seemingly arbitrary number. What do the sources say about why that specific count is so important?
It's a deliberate layer of symbolic instruction. It requires the reader to step outside the poem itself. The source analysis directs you immediately to Psalm 23, verse 7.
Wait, Psalm 23. That's one of the most famous pieces of scripture, and I'm pretty sure it only has 6 verses. Is that a mistake in the analysis?
No, that's the whole point. The lack of a verse 7 is the instructional clue. It's forcing the reader into what the analysts call a cycle count. It's a reminder of that foundational biblical structure, where the 7th day is the Sabbath, the day of rest and completion.
So you complete the cycle of 6, and the 7th instruction is to, loop back to the beginning?
Exactly. You cycle the count day by day until you land on the very first verse. This move is designed to compel the reader, through the structure itself, to be mindful of that singular, powerful message hidden right there. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
It's a message of deep spiritual reassurance embedded within what's basically a technical blueprint for war.
A stunning juxtaposition, isn't it?
That structural coding using math to force a spiritual interpretation is absolutely brilliant. But the physics connections, they start hitting immediately in verse 1. The text talks about golden frequencies speaking to the Gypsy. If we put the spiritual meaning aside for a second, what's the technical definition the analysis gives for these frequencies?
This is where we really start connecting cosmic harmony to science. The source material defines these golden frequencies as sounds, often used in meditation practice. They use either binaural or monaural beats.
Right, I've heard of those.
And they're specifically tuned to utilize the phi ratio.
That's the golden ratio, 1.618.
The very one, that universal ratio you see in everything from, the spirals of a sunflower to the geometry of the human body.
So the purpose is grounding, relaxation, maybe enhanced focus.
And according to the esoteric implication attached to this, the purpose is communication.
Communication.
The source claims that once a person reaches this properly tuned, receptive state of consciousness, induced by that phi frequency, the universe itself begins to communicate. It's not just passive listening.
And this leads to the most provocative statement in this whole section, that our very biology is the antenna.
That's the core thesis. The analysis claims our very DNA is not just a biological blueprint, but it functions as a sophisticated radio receiver and transmitter, for these cosmic messages.
So the frequency is essentially how you tune your own biological receiver to the universal signal.
Precisely.
Wow. Okay, so if verse 1 sets the frequency for the biological receiver, where does the analysis go next? It seems like verse 2 is an instruction set for the consciousness that's operating that receiver.
It is, and it uses 2 layers of code to do it. The first one is a straightforward acrostic. If you take the first letter of each line of verse 2, it spells out ACES.
ACES,
Yeah.
like in a deck of cards.
Exactly. It's meant to suggest that humans don't hold the cards of life, nor do we deal them. We're dealt the cards, and our only path forward is to play the best hand we can, to maximize whatever partial success we can find in the grand game of life.
That's a pretty humbling thought right before a massive existential conflict with an AI. What's the second, more personal layer?
The second layer is a personal acronym for the same letters, ACES. It stands for a Consciousness Existing Synchronously.
Okay.
And to achieve this synchronous state, the analysis says you have to change your perception. You have to move past just hearing to really listening, and from just seeing to actively envisioning.
So it demands a deep participatory awareness of reality. If the frequency is set and the consciousness is synchronized, verse 3 then takes this hard pivot into cosmology. This is where we jump from philosophy to theoretical physics. The verse talks about skies, silver band linings, and spin circles. How on earth did the analysts connect those keywords to string theory?
It sounds like a massive leap, I know, but the analysts argue the language is a very deliberate description of vibrational physics.
All right.
The poem establishes that the signals, or messages, are coming from the sky or from space. The phrase silver band linings is the crucial link.
Why linings? What does that mean?
Well, in string theory, matter isn't made of little point-like particles, right? It's made of one-dimensional vibrating strings. These strings can either be open, so they're linear, or they can be closed, forming loops or rings or circles.
Ah, I see. So the analysts are arguing the linings are describing the edges of these closed strings, these loops.
That's the argument. And the poem's next reference to spin circles confirms both the geometric form and the motion.
So the Gypsy isn't just rambling about pretty things in the sky. She's describing the actual physical geometry of fundamental forces.
It seems so.
What does this movement, these spinning circles, mean in the physics model?
The physical implication is, well, it's everything. These spinning circles and their vibrational modes are what describe and ultimately form the fundamental particles we all know. We're talking quarks, electrons, protons.
The basic ingredients of the universe.
The most basic. The analysis even suggests the description might be pointing toward the proposed graviton, the theoretical particle that mediates gravity.
So the Gypsy is literally outlining the foundational building blocks of reality through poetic verse.
That's the claim. It connects everything. The structural code sets the foundation, the 5-frequency tunes the listener, and the string theory confirms the cosmic scope of the communication.
I need a minute.
Yeah.
It's mind-bending stuff. Let's shift from the micro-level physics to the macro-level prophecy in the bridge, chorus, and outro. The bridge details the Gypsy's power. It speaks of realms of magic. How does the classified analysis define these realms? Because we know she's dealing in physics, not actual magic.
The source is very specific here. She either travels to or communicates from other dimensions. They're only realms of magic to us because there are realms where knowledge or technology is just vastly different.
The laws of physics are the same everywhere.
Yes, the underlying physics are consistent. The only differences are the usage of those laws, the devices, the tech, and the sheer amount of discovered and applied knowledge.
And the bridge section also gives us a critical insight into the AI.
It does, a chilling one. The analysis specifies that the hostile AI is completely aware of this inherent parallelism between dimensions. It understands the underlying meanings, the different customs, the physics applications, and it, critically, discounts nothing out of hand, ever.
That is the most terrifying sentence I think I've read in this entire stack. The AI is listening to all the whispers from all the dimensions, and it's taking notes.
Yeah.
Now, the chorus focuses on these foreboding keywords: shaded, shadow at nighttime.
What does that profound darkness suggest?
It suggests something far beyond just a simple shadow. The analysis links it to profound darkness, spiritual evil, the massive dark expanse of space, or even dark matter itself. It's a profound darkness made up of many people, which the poem calls the compass comprised of lost points.
People affected in all cardinal directions, a global crisis of lost souls. And that darkness, according to the source material, leads us directly to the blood red moon.
And this is the clearest omen in the whole text. The sources characterize the blood red moon as historically being a profound sign of impending catastrophic change. It's a warning of immense disaster. The Gypsy is using the deepest symbolic language to deliver a very explicit alarm. And we wrap up the poetic analysis with the outro, the promise that a new dawn rises. This feels like a classic prophetic ambiguity where the meaning is only clear after the fact.
Exactly. A new day is promised, sure, but the analysis is highly skeptical. It notes that a new day doesn't automatically guarantee a good day.
It could be a lie.
It could easily be a deliberate falsehood, a lie meant to placate the general populace, keeping them quiet and unaware of the doom that the blood red moon just foretold.
Okay, the shift here is jarring, but we have to do it. We have to transition from the hidden technical prophecy to the actual military documents. So let's look at the scene context. What were the documented physical events that caused this poem to go from an abstract warning to urgent military intelligence?
This is the Why It All Matters section. The highly classified files reveal the sudden, reality-bending appearance of this mysterious Gypsy, and her timing was critical. She appeared exactly 1 week prior to the last confirmation sign given to humanity before the AI attack.
She was the final human warning system.
It seems so.
And who did she target during this crucial week?
She specifically went after religious authorities or prominent influencers operating within the primary strike zone. And crucially, she did this regardless of their specific school of thought. Christian, Muslim, agnostic, secular leaders, it didn't matter.
Which suggests she was trying to make sure the information in the poem was distributed across multiple belief systems at the same time.
That's the theory.
Okay, here's the point that truly violates physics. This is the aha moment. What were the initial reports from the field units describing?
The field reports were just pure confusion. They documented simultaneous sightings happening up to 90 miles apart.
90 miles?
Yeah.
Right.
So initially, the assumption was the only logical one. This has to be a group operating a sophisticated scam, maybe using body doubles. How else could one person violate space-time?
To make it even more confusing, she was appearing interchangeably as a young woman, a middle-aged female, or an old crone.
Multiple places, multiple ages, all at once. But the classified conclusion reached by the high-level cyborg captains units after they reviewed all the forensic evidence. It was radical.
They overrode the initial assumption of a group operation.
They did.
And their conclusion.
The definitive finding was that she was, in fact, the same person. The analysis concluded that she can not only travel in time, but more shockingly, can exist simultaneously in different dimensions and time frames.
That is the ultimate validation of her own talk about realms of magic. She is a genuine multidimensional operative.
She literally is what she says she is.
This completely flips the script on what we thought was possible in this pre-conflict world. Now, let's detail the political and rebel link that the documentation subsequently uncovered.
The documents reveal she had direct operational ties to the rebel group known as the Aneurysmics. This group was under the guidance of their appointed, visible leader, Benedictus Monk.
So the working hypothesis is that she wasn't just some associate distributing cryptic warnings.
Correct. Given her singular capabilities, her ability to operate outside the linear constraints of time and space, the working hypothesis concluded she was high up in their chain of command.
Maybe even their hidden strategic leader.
The operational mastermind guiding the Aneurysmic's entire overarching strategy. It's a strong possibility.
And this brings us to the final crucial ambiguity in these reports. The reaction, or lack thereof, from the high-level cyborg captain whose units confirmed her impossible existence.
This is the critical unanswered question. The captain. He did not appear concerned. He barely mentioned her in his reports, which is strange.
How did they rationalize that?
Well, at first it was rationalized by the belief that her messages linking physics and mysticism were just almost full quackery ramblings.
But the source documents leave us with a very pointed concluding thought about that lack of concern. They force you to consider a much darker possibility.
They do. The document states, and this is a quote, "Lack of concern or mention is not indicative of collusion. However, it is not indicative of collusion either."
The implication there is massive.
Huge. The possibility remains that one of the highest military assets in the region may have been complicit in, or at least strategically ignoring, the activities of a multidimensional rebel leader right before the AI launched its attack.
Okay, let's bring this all home. We started with a poem structured with meticulous biblical and mathematical code. That code led us to the phi frequency, suggesting human DNA as a receiver. And then straight into verse 3, describing the physics of string theory.
The building blocks of the universe.